with for so many years?
What he was like to work with, he was never ever big-headed. He was always a man of the people. He always his feet on the ground. Whenever he'd gone on stage, say, and done an absolute sellout concert, he would come off and say, "I think we got away with that, don't you?" Never any big time about him. The other thing, he was always a naughty little boy. That, you know, you'd take him places and he was always messing around. But that was Norman. You just couldn't help loving him for it. And he would wind you up no end. If he was on a show and I couldn't get there, I'd phone him up and say, "Are you okay, Norman?" He said, "Oh, I feel very dizzy. I don't think I can go on tonight." And the place was packed. 3,000 people, and you'd start worrying. But after a while, you knew he was just winding you up. He was a naughty little boy, but so lovely.
Well, I have to confess, I interviewed him many, many years ago and couldn't get a sensible word out of him, I have to say, so I think it continued for all of us, certainly.
I can imagine that.
Did he enjoy life, though? Because he sure looked as though he did.
He loved life. He loved people, and people loved him. And he just enjoyed everything. He wouldn't think about age, so that's why he didn't really get old. He was still very fit. He would still run upstairs. He could beat me running. He beat young people running. And what was amazing about Norman, that the following he had were kids of 3, teenagers, family people, right up to pensioners. Everybody loved him. He's just going to be so sadly missed.
And what is extraordinary is that this is, when he was a young lad, he had a dreadful childhood, he was in care, and he completely turned his life around.
Oh, he did, and he always put most of it down, well, just about all of it, down to the army, because when he eventually got in the army, only as a young lad, because he was underage, really, but when he got in, this is where he learnt all his talents. He started singing, and he learnt to tap dance, and he learnt to play the clarinet and the saxophone, play the drums. And he used to do the funny marching, where everybody would march along, and instead of right arm and, you know, alternate arms, he would do it so that it was the same arms going and the same legs going, and he'd trip up, and people just used to laugh at him. The Sergeant Major didn't like it too much, but that was his comedy, and it developed from there. And he owed the army to everything. He owed the everything to the army, he said. Even there, he learned horse riding, he learned to play football and cricket, and he just loved it.
But he also became a bit of a serious actor later in life, didn't he?
He did. He did a play called Going Gently, where he was a cancer patient. And a lot of people didn't realize what a talented actor he was. But I remember a story he used to tell about when the producer didn't think he was the right choice for it, but he went in and really had a go at the producer and said, "How dare you, I can do this, how dare you sort of undermine my talent?" And the producer said, "Oh, no, sorry." And Norman said, "Well, how's that for acting?" And he got the job.
And if you could just sum up how you remember him, how would you do that?
I just remember him not only as Norman Wisdom, one of the greatest artists and greatest comic geniuses of our time, but also a truly wonderful human being, and proud to say he was a friend.
Johnny Manns, much appreciate your time on this difficult night for you. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Johnny Manns there, Sir Norman's agent for more than 30 years. So let's take a look at some of the morning.